We're moving on to Jon Jones. He finally did his first interview after months and months of all this smack talk from the MMA YouTube community. Everybody, I feel like I'm the only one that's defending Jon Jones. MMA Joey is somewhat defending him, but I feel like I'm one of the few people that's defending Jon Jones. And then today we have Jon Jones did an interview, and then Michael Bisping played some of the interview and is again jumping on the anti-Jon Jones bandwagon. And I'm just so fed up with it. I want to hear your thoughts. I just feel like it's absolutely ridiculous what's happening to Jon Jones, who should be given a lot more respect, especially if you're a fan of the sport. He is, I mean, basically our Michael Jordan or LeBron James, I feel like at this point, and just the amount of disrespect is driving me crazy. So let me play you a little bit of this Bisping. Did you get a chance to hear the interview or no?
No, I haven't heard it yet. No,
okay.
I just saw it on topics this morning, so I was looking forward to seeing it.
So let me play this. He's playing the interview from Kevin Iole. Check out Kevin Iole. He's the man. He's getting all the best interviews, by the way. But check this out. We're going to hear Mike Bisping play a bit of the interview, and then he's going to give his take. And I'm just so upset by all of this. But anyways, here, let me play it for you.
Aspinall doesn't deserve it.
If you defeat him, will you defend your belt against Aspinall, who has the interim title?
More than likely not. More than likely not. I feel like Tom Aspinall is, I don't want to say nobody. He just hasn't proven anything. He hasn't done anything. He won his belt against Sergey. Sergey just got slaughtered by someone else. So it's just like...
He's talking about Volkov. He did kind of get wrecked by Volkov after, so let me let it keep playing.
I'm not here to gamble someone else making a name off of me. I'm here to compete against the guys where when we look back, 10 years from now, it'd be like Jon Jones fought this guy and that guy and this legend and this champion and this champion.
He said that Tom Aspinall's kind of, hot property right now, but he could be here today, gone tomorrow. He used examples like Johnny Walker, when Johnny Walker was a hot rising prospect, knocking everybody out. But then he lost a couple of fights. He said, look at Johnny Walker. That never really panned out.
I remember a time when the whole world thought Johnny Walker was going to be the guy to beat me. And no disrespect for Johnny Walker, but we all have seen the way his career's played out. I've just been here too long to get all excited about someone who's hot today. I'm here for legacy. I've been gambling for way too long to just take random fights.
Well, guess what? Not everybody can go on undefeated like Jon Jones did. Jon Jones is an enigma. That's why people talk about him being the pound-for-pound best fighter on the planet. He's certainly one of them, okay? But the reality is, Jon Jones is now the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. And when he fights Stipe Miocic, and if he is victorious, then he has to face Tom Aspinall next. This is just the way the world works.
Okay, I got to stop this. It's driving me crazy. So Michael Bisping is it's no secret he's very good friends with Tom Aspinall. He loves Tom Aspinall. They're very close. So he's getting his guys back. I get that. But this is not how the world works. Jon Jones, if he wants to retire, he doesn't have to fight Tom Aspinall. Yeah, if he wants to stay in the division and keep defending the title, maybe then. Well, then he would have to fight Tom Aspinall. But why can't he take this fight after this insanely long storied career where he's had 16 title defenses, which is insane? Why can't he just finally walk off into the sunset? And guys, put this in the chat. I want to know what you guys think. I'm really losing my mind here with all the negativity and criticism that Jon Jones is getting. We have one more opportunity that I feel like we should be grateful for in terms of getting to see Jon Jones fight one more time. I mean, think about us, how excited we got when we thought GSP was coming back, or the rumors that Khabib was coming back for UFC 300. We were so excited and wished that would have happened, and it didn't. This is another situation of the greatest, or one of the greatest at a minimum, and he is returning. He is coming back to fight, and we should be excited. And he's fighting an amazing legend. Now, the main issue here, I don't think, is that he's fighting Stipe. I think the reason why people have a problem with this fight is because they love Tom Aspinall, rightfully so. Tom's the man. Tom does have the interim belt. He did defend an interim belt, which normally never happens. So you would think he should have fought for the real undisputed title at that point. Fine, I get that. But that's not on Jon Jones. That's on the UFC. If you have a beef with that, you can complain to the UFC. My main point is, why is everybody ganging up on Jon Jones? Hasn't he earned a little bit of special circumstances here? Justin, give me your thoughts. Am I crazy?
So here's the thing. No, you're not crazy. And Jon Jones, what an incredible interview, because he's exactly right. Something that's hot today isn't going to be hot tomorrow. And using Johnny Walker is an incredible example, man. Johnny Walker, the next UFC champion, the next greatest of all time. And the only thing Johnny Walker, and I like Johnny. I've met him a couple of times. He's a goofy guy. He's a lot of fun. I love having him in the room. But the only thing he's really accomplished is making an incredible highlight reel of getting knocked out. Because when Johnny Walker gets knocked out, I don't know why it's so funny to me, but his body just like, I don't know. Like, I remember when he gets knocked out by Jamal Hill and his arms go out to the side there. It's like, how does this happen? Like, and it's not one time, twice. It happens all the time. It's crazy. He just got knocked out brutally in training against like a 17-year-old boxer I saw a video of. But back to Jon Jones, man. Here's the thing, and this is why MMA fighters are the worst. And I've said it since day one. I've said it since day one of our podcast. MMA fans are some of the worst, ungrateful people in the world. All right. And what I mean by that is, am I excited about this Stipe fight? Not really. Not really. I'll be honest. I'm not that excited about it. But I am excited to see Jon Jones get in there and do his thing, probably for the last time, and I get to witness it. Absolutely, man. Let this guy ride off in the sunset, man. He's had so many crazy controversies, but he's always shown up. He's always delivered. He's always put on world-class performances, and he's always fucking won. Whether people are like, oh, he had PEDs. Guess what? Hey, I hate to break it to all you fucking idiots, but everybody in the UFC's used PEDs. All right. It does. You don't think Islam Makhachev is over in Russia not using PEDs? Habib, guys, it's called USADA, the United States Anti-Drugging Association, or something like that. Key word: United States. All right. They don't. USADA doesn't go to Russia. USADA doesn't go to the UK. USADA doesn't go to Mexico. USADA stays in the fucking US because that's their jurisdiction. Everybody in the UFC is using steroids, especially out of training camp. All right. Jon Jones unfortunately just got caught. All right. I personally know countless fighters that I would never ever throw under the bus because they're friends of mine, and it's all just about the cycle. You can time your cycle, or you get the right steroid to make sure that it can be out of your system in a couple days, or this or that. Guys, get over this whole drug scandal. It's fucking stupid, and all you fucking idiots are so ungrateful because you know why? Here's another thing: MMA fans they want to see Jon Jones lose. They want to see his legacy tarnished. People love seeing that. Haters, or guys, people that are miserable love seeing people fail. Misery loves company, and MMA fighters are some of the worst people in the whole world. That's a fact because I've dealt with all that fucking haterism.
The MMA fans. Yeah. And I mean, look, I agree. Look, the drug stuff, I don't usually touch because I don't know enough about it. I know you're a professional athlete. Like, you know the stuff way better, and you make really good points. Like if people are throwing that out there as a reason for whatever, look, that's, again, let the experts deal with it. Let the UFC deal with that. That's why I don't touch it, and fine. If you're going to bring that up, I think you made a really good point. And yeah, I think I just don't know. I feel like with Habib, people were rooting him on to be undefeated and retire undefeated, and we wanted to see him win. I don't know where all this negativity is coming towards Jon Jones. I think part of it is because there's a lot of MMA YouTubers, namely like MMA Guru, who I do generally like, but he's really galvanizing the crowd and the audience and the world against Jon Jones, and I think that's having an impact. But I would say, yeah, like, I actually like the Stipe fight. Let me tell you something, Justin. When Stipe fought Daniel Cormier was 41 years old. Nobody was like, this is a stupid fight. Daniel Cormier is over 41. No, he started at 31. He fought older his entire life, and he still nearly beat Stipe at 41.
He did beat him one time. He did beat him once.
But I'm saying his last fight when he was 41 years old, it was his retirement fight. He was doing great against Stipe, and then Stipe landed some body shots and took it home, right? But nobody was crying about Daniel Cormier being too old for the title shot, whatever. So if it's just an age thing and he sat out for a few years, I just don't see why, Stipe just sucks now. He's terrible. He's only 42. And he just turned 42 in August. So I don't understand why everybody's writing Stipe off. I still think this is an interesting fight as well. And maybe fighting Aspinall would be a tougher matchup. I don't know. Okay, probably, but maybe not. And I just think that I think the odds are like 6-1 that Jon Jones is going to win. I think part of that is due to the public sentiment, but I think this is going to be a good fight. Let's not ruin it. We get the chance to see one of the greats fight again, possibly the greatest of all time. We're going to get to see that live in a week. So let's enjoy it, is my opinion. I want to go to some of the comments. So Homework does say, if I'm being honest, I'm not mad if Jon Jones never fights Aspinall. Yes, I agree. Before he returned at 285, Jones always said he will give us 2 more fights. There we go. And this is not his fault. The UFC has kept the fight that he called out. He got an injury, and if it would have happened when it was supposed to happen, people would have been fine with this. It's just because Tom Aspinall won the interim title. And yes, him defending the interim title was weird, but they made it's extenuating circumstances for the greatest legend of the sport. I don't have a huge problem with it. People get mad the other way when the UFC is kind of following protocol and they want the leniency or special circumstance to be granted to our legends or to the greats, the people that we feel like have earned it. Well, Jon Jones, I think, has earned it. And I think maybe it's because of the USADA things and the steroid things that maybe people are trying to take it away. I don't know what it is, but I feel like he's earned it. And let's leave all that other political stuff to the UFC and to USADA. Okay. Let's see a couple more comments here. Homer says also before Tom fought Sergey, everyone was saying Jones was ducking Sergey. Right. People forget the narrative. People were saying he was ducking Sergey Pavlovich, and then Sergey Pavlovich gets knocked out to Jon Jones's point. Nobody's talking about Sergey anymore. This is crazy. This is so infuriating. Okay, homework. I also feel like the UFC shot themselves in the foot by putting an interim title. Yeah, they probably did. If the UFC had not put that interim title up because they wanted to beef up that fight when Jon Jones had to pull out for an injury, they probably did shoot themselves in the foot. I guarantee you they regret that decision. That's a great point. Okay, let's see. Two Smelly Fingers. He said, since USADA is based in the USA, would you say that the American fighters being more tested use less PEDs? Justin, that's a question for you.
So how it's regulated towards the fighters, and I mean, I'm kind of getting out of the sport now, so I can kind of air some dirty laundry here. Is there's certain types of testosterone. There's saponate. There's ether. There's like 3 or 4 different types of testosterone, and I'm not going to say the United States. It's just you just got to have the best doctor, man. You got to have your site. So when USADA was around, it was a lot tougher because they can random drug test you out of camp. They can show up at your house. They can show up at your work. With that being said, that's where John, like, he got caught running from USADA. So I do think it's less in the United States, as you're asking. But it's still something. It's still something. It's definitely less though, because like you're in Russia, you know, USADA doesn't go to Russia. USADA doesn't go to the UK, like I mentioned. So, but yes, to just broadly answer your question, yes, it is less in the United States, but it's still very, very active.
Okay, one more question or statement, I guess, from Two Smelly Fingers. By the way, I think Two Smelly Fingers, you might be a new subscriber and a new watcher. It's a funny username. So welcome to the show. Anyways, he says John is a beast in the cage, undefeated. I think a lot of people root for Stipe. I think he said stupid. He meant Stipe. Yeah. Root for Stipe because they like to root for the underdog. Yeah, sure. Last comment, and then we're gonna move on. Before Khabib ended his career, he said the same thing. The fans were saying Conor, then Dustin would be. Yeah, it never ends. They just want to say the next one. Now, what did people at the beginning were like, Khabib, you need to go and fight Charles Oliveira, dude. He's the new guy. He's going to beat everybody. He looks undefeated. What if he goes on and does all this stuff? Is anybody saying that? I mean, Charles Oliveira had an amazing run. Don't get me wrong. Is anybody comparing Oliveira and putting him on the same level as Khabib? No. And because this is what happens. We get excited as fans. That's the positive thing about the sport. We see somebody new. We get excited. We get hyped. That's the fun of it. Maybe this guy can topple that guy. But it's like Aspinall. I love Aspinall. And he may be the greatest heavyweight of all time. Let's see what happens. But right now, he's clearly not. He's had one interim title defense compared to John's 16. It's two different levels. And John is the only person that's ever achieved this level. So anyway, sorry. What were you going to say?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But, you know, when people talk about the greatest heavyweight of all time, like, I mean, there hasn't been any super incredible heavyweights. And what I mean by that is I don't mean from a skill standpoint. I'm talking about from a resume standpoint. I think the most title defenses from a heavyweight is like 2. I'm sure you can look that up real quick.
Stipe.
And I think that's why Stipe had like 1 or 2. And like, it's not like it's somebody's on like an 8-fight win streak. You know, when you talk about Anderson Silva, who had like he was on a 16-fight win streak, or 8 title defenses, or when you have Kamaru Usman, 5 title defenses, winning the 6th title defense against Leon Edwards and gets knocked out. Like at heavyweight, you just don't see that. So, you know, when people say the greatest of all time, it doesn't really blow me away, because in order to be the greatest of all time, you really only need to defend the belt 3 times and you'll be considered the greatest heavyweight of all time.
Stipe has had 4 title defenses and he lost the belt and won it again. Yeah. So let me go through his resume.
Even 4 title defenses. That's okay. That's legit. That's good.
Dude, Stipe is the man. This narrative is also massively disrespectful to Stipe. Yeah, he's had a couple years off. Big deal. His resume is insane and he's still in the mix. He's only 42. I feel like the fans are ruining this fight, and this is such an exciting fight. Okay, look, he won the UFC title against Verdum, crazy fighter back in the day. If you guys are newer fans, then he defended it against Alistair Overeem. He defended against Junior Dos Santos, defended against Ngannou. Okay, it's crazy. Then he lost to Daniel Cormier. Then he beat Daniel Cormier. Then he won it back. Then he defended against Daniel Cormier, and then he lost to Francis. So, I mean, he's had a crazy. He beat Daniel Cormier twice.
What's the years? What's the years, though? What's the years?
Sure. Okay, so the first title defense was
when did he get his title? What year did he become champion?
2016, and then he defended again in 2016, defended again in 2017, defended again in 2018, lost it in 2018, won it back in 2019, defended it successfully in 2020. Then he lost in 2021. Yeah, he's had a few-year layoff. I mean, I don't know. Like, does 3 years just zap you? Why were people so excited to see GSP come back and fight Khabib? He was inactive for years. Why were people so excited to see GSP come back the first time and fight Michael Bisping, I think, after a 4-year layoff?
I think it's just because he's coming off a loss, and it wasn't just like a decision loss. He was brutally knocked out in the first round of Francis. And I think people that, as the saying says in MMA, is you're only as good as your last fight. And I think once, watching Francis go in there and ice him, and now he's going back for a title against Jon Jones, I think that's what it really comes down to. If Stipe would have lost a decision to Francis or something close,
right,
or won, I think people would be a lot more excited about this. But all you really remember, and I don't remember the 4 title defenses. I watched them, but I can't. The last thing I remember of Stipe is him getting knocked out by my teammate Francis Ngannou. So, like the old saying, again, reiterate, you're only as good as your last fight. I think that's what people are comparing, or that's why people are dogging him so much, because his last fight, he was brutally knocked out.
I think so, too. And Jon Jones mentioned that in his Kevin Iole interview, and he's saying, like, yeah, fans are brutal. That's exactly – I think you're exactly right. So, okay, guys, let me know if you're watching this live in the comments in the chat what you think. I think me and Justin are kind of aligned on this, and I think we're in the minority. For sure, we're in the minority because everybody's hating on this. Although MMA Joey, give him credit. He is kind of – I think he's roughly on the same page. So I will give him credit, but let us know. Or if you're watching this after the fact, please put in the chat, leave a comment. Tell us if you disagree and tell us if you think we're wrong. I'm open to being proven wrong, but I really don't think I'm wrong here. I think it's just the zeitgeist of the MMA world is just now, they've got all this momentum and they just want to hate this fight. And I think it's ridiculous. Okay.